Welcome back to part 2 of how to use adverbs to add information about situations. Today we're going to look at words such as very much, hardly and scarcely and how we can use them to show degrees of meaning. Before we get started, I am Ajit from Capshine. Capshine is a revolutionary learner together English fluency program. With Capshine, learning English is easy, quick, fun, affordable and effective, and I promise you a whole new you in 6 months or less. So what are adverbs? Adverbs are essentially words that describe adjectives or verbs. These are used to add information to situations, and of course, some examples today is very hot, right? Tells me about how hot it is. And of course, Sheena sings sweetly. Tells me about how she sings. So these adverbs tell me more about an action or an adjective, a describing word. Let's look specifically at a few of these to show how we can add more information. But why even add information? What's the point of that? Well, we do this for specific reasons. For example, it gives information about the extent of an action. I hardly know her tells me how much you know her, right? It's between not knowing her at all and knowing her quite well. So hardly know her is in between that. It shows me the extent. Degree to which an action is performed. I am very pleased to meet you. Tells me how pleased I am, the degree with which I feel this or I do this action. These are very useful to show very slight changes or slight differences in meaning between what you perceive it and also to show opinions about things. The first adjective or rather adverb in this case that we want to look at is very much. We use very much before fear, regret, doubt, look forward to and suspect, before all of these words, right? And let's look at some usage. I very much regret not buying that car. I very much regret not buying that car. Tells me to the extent to which you regret something, very much. Jane is very much looking forward to her birthday party. So again, how much is she looking forward to it? To what extent? Very much. Similarly, hardly can be used in a similar situation. It is sometimes used before the main verb. For example, I hardly recognize you. You've grown so tall. So it tells me how much or the extent to which you recognize that person. Ravi could hardly walk by the end of his training session. So again, tells me the extent to which his training session was intensive. So he could hardly walk by the end of the training session. Tells me about the nature of his workout and the extent to which he could or couldn't walk. Before we move on to the next examples, I want to tell you quickly about Capshine's 30-day free trial. With this, you get access to speaking opportunities, you get to learn and practice as a group, you get a personal coach who gives you recommendation and feedback on how you can improve, and of course, live classes and daily micro lessons that can help you become a more fluent, confident, and capable user of the English language. Do check it out, and I'll tell you where you can do that in the end of the video. The next one is scarcely. Very similar to hardly, scarcely also shows that something rarely happens. For example, he scarcely does the dishes, it's always down to me. So suggesting that it almost never does the dishes, right? It's always down to me. There might be exceptions. He or she might do it once in a while, but mostly 99% of the time, he does not do it. So 99% of the time, he does not do this action, you would say, scarcely. I scarcely read these days. I find it very boring. And this is actually true of me. I used to read quite a bit. Nowadays, I scarcely read. I haven't even read one book since the year started, right? While I used to read about 70 to 80 books a year. Now I scarcely read any books at all. You could also use hardly and scarcely in different situations. For example, you can use it with any, at all, and ever. Let's look at some situations. Krishna loves riding a bike, but she hardly ever has time. right? Talks about how much time she has, and also has, suggests that she does not ride a bike at all. How well do you know David? The answer, oh, hardly at all. Notice how it's used before at all, suggesting that you don't know David at all. Before we sort of conclude for today, a few pro tips that you should take away. Hardly is not the same as hard. For example, Ramya works hard. This suggests that she's a very hard worker. She puts in her blood and sweat into the work that she does. Hardly, however, has a different meaning. Ramya hardly works suggests that she does not work. She sort of skips office quite often. She comes in late. She does not necessarily do her work. Ramya hardly works. So that's the difference between hard and hardly. Hard shows how much she works. She works really hard. Hardly again shows how much she works, but it suggests that she rarely or scarcely does it, right? Hardly works. So do not confuse hard and hardly. They mean very different things in different contexts. Awesome. I hope you found this video interesting. If you did, make sure you like and subscribe. Hit the bell notifications to not miss videos like these. And of course, don't forget to check out your 30-day free trial by going to capshine.com or downloading the app from the Play Store. Thanks for watching.